When you trust in the Lord, you learn to expect His best. There are some things that are going on in our country and that are going on around the world right now that, since all of the recession and everything has hit and everybody's been thinking about the economy and talking about it, sort of commiserating. And one of the things that God said to me, He says that now is the time for His people to rise up and to display what happens to people who put their trust in me. He's saying that in many, many cases, we're dealing with situations, we're dealing with people, and we're dealing with systems in the world that have caused men to walk away from their confidence in God. And the only way you can survive the way that things are right now is to put your full trust in God. Now, I've been a little younger than I am now, and at my age, I've been living in this society, and I've seen what can happen to people when they just choose to forget about God. I've seen a lot of people put their trust in their politicians. They trust in their colleagues at work. They trust in their friends. We would trust sometimes in family members and people that we really ought to be able to put our confidence in. But at the end of the day, when you really look at the big picture, you recognize that it is only full confidence in a God that cannot fail that makes the difference. And every time I come back to it, I come back into a realization that when you trust in God, you won't commit suicide. When you trust in God, your back may be up against the wall, but because you've already had a confidence that is most of all built on a track record with God, that He's been faithful in the past, you know that whatever is happening to you now is nothing compared to the fact that because He delivered you in the past, He'll do it again. And so everywhere I go now, I'm trying to get people to understand this whole, even the whole gambling thing and the lottery and all of that, it really doesn't matter to me what legalizes and what not legalizes. What matters to me is the heart of the individual that will put their trust in something outside of hard work, industry, and the favor of God. When you put your trust in something else and someone else, you're going to end up at the end of the day always losing. Because the Bible says, and we need to understand it, when you think about God, you've got to trust Him. But because it is only an eternal and only an abiding trust in the power of God to deliver that's going to, at the end of the day, cause us to consist. If we want to keep going, you got to trust God. Touch your neighbor, say you got to trust God. What is faith? Faith is trusting God at a not knowing level. Every season I come to talking about faith, I remind people of God. You don't have to be trying to figure out how God's going to deliver you. That's what caused Sarah to get in trouble. Because Sarah thought that because she was so old, if she just get the maid and give the maid to Abraham, the law said that the child that would be born in her house would be her son. But that's not what God said. See, a lack of faith will cause you to try to help God out of a situation. God's trying to deliver you, and you're trying to do something else to make it look like it's deliverance. I want you to hear me. If God says He's going to bless you, then you can't be trying to figure things out on your own, because, you know, when you trust Him, He's going to provide a miracle. There are some things that look like a blessing, but they're not really a blessing. There's some connections that look favorable because of maybe the political climate that we're in, but that's not really a blessing. That's a tie up and a soul tie. That's going to mess you up down the road, because people don't give you things for nothing. Everybody's got a price. And every time you turn around and you think you could put your trust in individuals and systems and policies, you end up at the end of the day, you wind up in a situation where you're tied up and it's difficult to get out. But what does the Bible say about God? The Bible says, Psalm 125 verses 1 and 2, and I want you to turn to it because I want to show you it in the Word. The Bible simply says that they that trust in the Lord shall be as Mount Zion, which abideth forever and cannot be removed. The Bible also says, as the mountains are round about Jerusalem, so the Lord is round about His people from henceforth even forever. Every time we think about the Lord, you've got to be able to just put your full confidence in God. I've come to the conclusion in all the time that I've lived